So, I know what you're thinking. But Tassels! We've been saying this whole time that Kong has ruined the game, blah 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 blah, idiot! But let me just start by saying that this video is not going to be spreading hate. It's not going to be hating on a multi-million-dollar company that I am not qualified to make a judgment of because I don't know what goes on in that company, so therefore why the heck would I try to assume I do know that? So if you're hoping for a rant saying how I think that the game is ruined and, you know, ever since the game was sold, everything's been ruined and they're just doing horrible. If you think it's gonna be that type of video, you may click off, respectfully, to the video in this card. I don't know what side it's gonna be on, so just one of these, you know. I'd also like to say that I stand by everything I've said in the past in regards to Congregate. When they first took over the game, I wanted to be open-minded, and I still believe that being open-minded was the right decision, because how can you possibly make a judgment about a multi-million-dollar company that is completely different from two individual developers you get to know, you know, if you just immediately respond based on your emotions, and I'm not that type of person when it comes to things like this. Keyword. Sure, they haven't fixed smaller in-game bugs, which I understand are an issue in every game I've ever played on this channel. It was an issue in Hordes, it was an issue in Slay.1, it was an issue in Minecraft, and it remains an issue in all of these games. There are going to be bugs that the developers don't fix, everyone's going to be pissed off about for years, and going to be like, oh, did they finally take care of that one? Oh, no, it's still there, sorry. You know, that's just a thing. But what I'm concerned about is a little bit, I guess, bigger. So I'm going to split this video into different sections, and you can see those different sections in the description of this video, so you can click on whichever chapter you're most interested in, because this might be a bit long. I still haven't decided that, but we'll find out as we go, because honestly this video is barely scripted. I just have an outline in front of me. I'd also like to say that I do not condone the screenshotting of any content in this video. I know that it happens occasionally on my channel, not often, but I would just like to say that I am outright saying I do not condone it. I don't want people taking what I say as fact in any way, because I am a mechanical engineering major. I am not a business major. What I know is limited to what I've picked up over the years and learned from a couple classes. I am not a professional. I'm not using online statistics, and in fact I would not even suggest that you use online statistics like Google Trends even, because unless you're generating that data yourself, you do not know where it's coming from. You don't know what they did to collect that data, and you don't know what they left out or decided to include in that data. So anyway, that being put aside, let's get started here. So this will be the opinion section, where I'm basically going to discuss my opinion from the past, where it stands now, and where I think this could be going, or this being surviv.io. So initially when Congregate bought the game, again, I wanted to be open-minded because, you know, I understood the struggles that Nick and Justin went through with the community, and the death threats and the doxing that they had been through with the community, and I completely understood why they wanted to move on. The community has been a mix of great people and also very horrible people in the past, and you can get burnt out very quickly from the amount of updates they're releasing as well. They're releasing updates pretty much monthly, or multiple times a month, which is a lot to keep up with for two developers who are trying to sustain the game solely off of ads and whatever donations people make to their Twitch streams. And with an IO game, because you're investing a lot more than you probably are getting back initially, it can be a bit of a pain to get started and to maintain a game on a browser. Again, I understood why they decided to leave, and I did not mind the fact that the game had been sold to an actual company. This was not an issue to me, it was not of consequence to me, and in fact I wasn't even really around for, I think, the 2-3 month period when that decision was made. I came back to the game and saw that, you know, a lot had changed, clearly. And I understand that a lot of people were very angry that the game was sold, and they were blaming the company that bought the game instead of the developers that decided to sell it, which I found was funny because I guess it's easier to spread hate when you don't know the people. We knew Nick and Justin, and we don't know this company. Which, I guess, getting into this a little bit, I have to address the fact that, yes, I'm well aware that people hate me for being a, quote, Kong lover. But the truth of the matter is that I'm not going to jump to hating on a company when I do not know a single thing about that company. And people can pretend to think that they know everything about how a company works and say, oh, they should be doing this, oh, they should be doing that. But the people who are saying these things and producing these videos about how Congregate is doing everything wrong and like the game was perfect before, it was not perfect before. It was dying before they came. So these people who are making these videos, I'm not going to call anyone out in particular. I just want to say most people don't know what they're talking about. I wouldn't claim to know what I'm talking about. I just did not jump to my emotions on this issue. Of course, I was a little upset because Nick and Justin did defend me on multiple occasions, and I got to know them a little bit. But since then, obviously, things have changed a bit because I wanted to be open-minded. I wanted to take time to make a judgment of what I thought was going to happen with the game, what was happening with the game, and give them a chance to, 1, transition, and 2, start doing their own shit. So what we've seen from them doing their own stuff is that initially they create a couple new game modes after the long transition period, and those game modes weren't bad. They're a bit scuffed, they're a bit cringe a little bit, I want to say, and they were quite buggy, but those bugs were usually fixed in a decent amount of time within the time that game mode was out, and those game modes were not out for very long, so the time period it took them to complete these updates, these bug fixes, was not that long, and we were getting communication from, well, at least kind of decent communication from the company about what was happening. We had Sam in chat being active, so we had a person, a representative from the company to kind of let us know that things are still alive, you know, like, they're still alive in there, there's, you know, still trying to connect with the community, which I think is extremely important, because the same way that Nick and Justin connected with the community, I understand it's more difficult for a company to do that because they have a lot more to lose if they say something wrong, like lawsuits, and their whole company could go under, which again could apply to individuals as well, but with a company they got a lot more to lose. So I got completely off track there, but in terms of game functionality, I wanted to address this because recently the clans update came out, and it took approximately a week and a couple days, I believe, to fix the game functionality bugs that were occurring. People's games were crashing, being unresponsive. I experienced this myself. A lot of people couldn't make a clan, they couldn't use the feature at all, and the game crashing issue was definitely something I was surprised they weren't as quick to jump onto, because that is an issue that draws players away from the game because they physically cannot get into the game to even play a game. And the other thing is that recently in the Discord server, you've probably seen a ton of people saying how their quests are not making progress, and they can't make teams, and they're having account login issues. They recently did maintenance on the game, but it seems that this only caused more issues, and since then, it's been about 4 or 5 days since those issues I just listed came out, and we haven't heard anything from the company, any communication from the team for surviv about any fixes for that issue, which again, I get they're a company, they have several games to worry about. However, they should know that they do not have a very good relationship with the community, and that does more than just, you know, look bad. It doesn't make new players want to stay, because if they see that these bugs that are stopping them from being able to play the game are not being fixed, and it doesn't look like the development team is very active with the community to, you know, notify us that something is being worked on, that it fixes on the way or whatever, then they're probably not going to want to stay, because they might think that the future of that game is just not good and not worth spending their time on if they can't even play. They did fix the clan feature within a week. That's not bad. However, the succession of bug issues that have been affecting people's game functionality in the past 3 weeks to a month have been concerning. Perhaps it's a coincidence that all these bugs just happen to pop up at the same time, and none of them are being fixed, but to me this is very concerning, because this next section is going to be the business section. This is going to be a big disclaimer. Again, I am not a professional. I'm not an analyst. I am an engineering major with a brain and can put 2 and 2 together. I don't want anyone taking what I say as fact, no matter how logical it might sound. I know some people are swayed to thinking that because it sounds logical, it has to be right. But again, I do not know the inner workings of a multi-million-dollar company. I want to make it very clear that I am not qualified to give an opinion on this. I just have thoughts, and thoughts are coming out now. So, something that is kind of important to companies, not as important as revenue, is PR. Personal relations, so that your relationship with a customer, or in our case, the players playing the game, which are essentially still customers. When the game first transitioned, the community managers or a manager didn't make a great impression. It was a very difficult transition, and I'm not going to specify things because people don't need to hear from me. There's no need for that. I'm not going to start the drama all over again because it's done, and thank God it's done. But after the kind of rough transition, we had Sam. He was a representative from the company. He would communicate with the community. He became kind of a part of it. And then came this past year when Sam stopped being the kind of primary, I guess, community manager from Congregate. And that's not an issue. However, the person who transitioned in is not as active with the community, and I understand, again, people have lives. They're not being paid to talk to the community. They're there to be a liaison between the company and the players. However, that has not seemed to be a very useful thing to try to do because we haven't gotten a ton of communication from the company. And while that might not seem super important, the thing is, when we get these super huge issues that are stopping the game from working correctly, and we're getting frustrated, we want to see that they're working on it. We want to see that the company cares about the players, and it's not just trying to get money. Obviously, they need money. They need to produce money to, 1, support the game, 2, keep their company going, 3, pay their employees. I didn't count properly on my fingers, I'm sorry. And right now, we don't get many updates that are very personalized, like the ones that we got from Nick and Justin. Nick and Justin would put like quirky little posters or something, or like a little note about an update that's coming, but with Congregate, we haven't really gotten that. We get these monotone, bland messages from the company whenever maintenance is done, or when the game's gonna be down, which I think is purely just so people don't start spamming their help desk. But I feel like that is not doing anything for them in terms of PR, because that's not showing us that they care about the players and the community and the game. So I guess my suggestion would be, from my very unprofessional opinion from a 19-year-old attending college for engineering, is that Congregate, y'all should start giving us little hints of updates that are coming, if you're planning any, because people lose hope very quickly with the rough past this game has had. So the other thing that kind of relates to business is the fact that the game is losing players quite a bit. And that's for a variety of reasons, but a big reason probably is the fact that it looks like the game is being neglected, and the number of game functionality bugs that are fixed very, very slowly. Which for the company, that's bad, because fewer players means less ad revenue, less people spending money on golden potatoes, the currency, or on skins, or NFTs, and it also means less people telling their friends about the game, which then brings in more revenue, and less people wanting to become a YouTuber for surviv, because people might think, oh, like, I want to start a surviv gaming channel, I love the game, but then the second their channel starts dying because the game is dying, they're gonna quit, which means, again, less publicity, fewer players, less revenue. So the unfortunate fact about that is, just from a business standpoint, if you're pouring money into something and it's not giving you any revenue back, what do you think to do? You think, okay, this is now, we are losing money. Is this a worthy investment? Do we keep trying to make money off this game? Or do we abandon it? So while I'm not saying that they're going to necessarily abandon surviv, unless they start pouring a lot of time and energy into fixing the game and adding new stuff to change the game other than just clans, then surviv is going to be more of a burden on the company than it is a good source of revenue. And I'm sure they're making still quite a few sales from NFTs and from golden potatoes because people want to get their cool stuff with their mom's credit card. So maybe that's why they're still sticking around. However, they can't keep going on like this. They're either going to abandon the game, let it slowly phase out, then leave it, or they're going to need to amp things up, which, in my personal opinion, it's kind of looking more like they're easing off the game. But the issue is, Nick and Justin are not going to come back, guys. So, y'all stop asking if we can find them and bring them back, because if I were them, I would not come back. And the other thing is, if they've already poured so much time and energy into this game before Congregate bought it, they're probably not really going to have the energy to come out with anything new. And no, we cannot buy surviv from a multi-million-dollar company. unless you know Donald Trump and he's willing to loan you a small sum of $1 million to pay for it. So yeah, I questioned producing this video at all because I know that as a YouTuber in the community, as featured YouTuber and as a YouTuber in the Discord server, I am jeopardizing my position, well, my relatively good standing with Congregate as a content creator, and I didn't want to get involved with this kind of thing because I didn't see a need to until now, because I know that YouTubers sometimes have a little more power than other players, because it's easier for our voices to be found and heard, because je ne sais pas. So before I end this video, I just kind of want to read off a message I put in a kind of private channel in the surviv Discord server, a message to Congregate, assuming they might possibly see it, or maybe someone from Congregate will see this video. Anyway, here it is. Everyone knows I've vouched for Congregate on numerous occasions, but I can't justify doing that anymore without it being unfounded. Although I've had a rocky path to this game's community, I still care deeply for the game, and I personally request, whether that matters to Congregate or not, that something be done about how often the community is ignored. These kids, teens, and adults have good ideas because they've been playing the game for years. They complain about bugs because they enjoy the game that much that they wouldn't want to be interrupted by bugs that even the kids in the community can figure out how to fix. The kids who play this game play because they either enjoy it that much to play rather than some other more expensive game, or they can't afford expensive games, and this is what they've got. I remember back in my sophomore year of high school when I was starting to tell people I made videos on YouTube. I saw my classmates playing from across the room, and to kind of prank them, I waited to join the game just as they did, and I managed to take them out and get second place in that match. This was back in 2019. People my age who've graduated high school still look back fondly on the game in spite of the issues. But there are still kids here who are where we were. They're joining their classmates' surviv matches to play against each other. They finish homework and want to play a game to de-stress, and they choose surviv. Of all games, they choose surviv. Not Minecraft, not Fortnite, surviv. So, out of respect for the people who love this game, but have no power over what happens to it, please use your power responsibly to act as they would, and treat the game with the respect that so many players have for it.